From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
And good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey. The time right now is 4:27 here on our Thursday. We have a lot to talk about today before we get into the show, starting with Hurricane Laura making landfall on the Gulf Coast down there as a Category 4 storm. Winds of up to 150 miles per hour. And you can see some of the video there from our south. And it is just a wild scene there. Not only do they have to deal with the coronavirus pandemic and being worried about people gathering in shelters, but this is a really strong storm. It gained strength as it made its way to the coastline. We're also learning that Indiana Task Force 1 members are in Louisiana now. They are ready to help out. They train year-round for these water rescues and things like this, so they are ready to help the folks out there in Texas and Louisiana. But for more on what is going on here at the storm, plus our weather back at home, we do want to check in with Todd Clausen. Todd, it was a busy overnight for meteorologists around the country.
Yeah, you know, that storm made landfall, as you mentioned, just to the east of Texas, right in Louisiana there, in far western Louisiana. It's a compact storm, but it's a very powerful storm, as you mentioned, just under Category 5 status. It really strengthened yesterday in the Gulf of Mexico with all that really warm water locally here. This morning, it's another warm start to our day. 72 in Logansport, 77 in Muncie, 74 is the current temperature in Kokomo. And even though Laura is very far away from us right now, we're going to finally start to feel some of the impacts today. Today, it's going to bring a little more in the way of cloud cover, and then eventually some spotty showers and thunderstorms are going to develop later on this afternoon. So storm chances do return to our forecast. The main impact from Laura will be felt here across central Indiana tomorrow and then into Saturday. We'll talk more about that for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's talk about the coronavirus pandemic here in the state of Indiana. We learned from Governor Eric Holcomb yesterday that the state will remain in stage 4.5 for another month. So those current capacity restrictions that are in places, public spaces like restaurants, bars, public gatherings, those are going to remain as they are today for the rest of the month. So that is due to the number of cases and the number of the positivity rate and everything that's going on here still in the state of Indiana. We haven't been able to shake this thing yet. So keep that in mind, as well as the mask mandate. That is a statewide mandate in public places where social distancing isn't possible. That is going to remain for another 30 days. That was set to expire. We'll have more on that coming up. Plus, we want to talk about schools going back and a number of parents at Hamilton Southeastern schools protesting peacefully last night outside of the school board meeting, urging leaders to send their kids back to the classroom. We'll have more on this, plus news, weather, and traffic coming up on Good Morning Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
In breaking now at 4:30, parts of Texas and Louisiana hit with a strong winds and rains from Hurricane Laura. We'll have the latest on this Category 4 storm as it makes landfall. Governor Eric Holcomb extending COVID-19 regulations, a look at the new timeline for reopening and how much longer you'll be required to wear a mask. And parents at Hamilton Southeastern schools protesting how the district is handling the new school year, why they're calling for classes to be held in person. But we do want to begin with that breaking news. Hurricane Laura making landfall overnight as a strong Category 4 storm, packing winds of up to 150 miles per hour. It's one of the strongest storms to ever make landfall in the United States. ABC's Elwin Lopez has the latest now from Baton Rouge.
This morning, the Gulf Coast feeling the effects of Hurricane Laura.
Folks, this is not survivable.
We're bracing for a challenge after we see this extremely destructive storm come through.
The storm slamming the region, bringing heavy rain and gale force winds.
And if you think you're safe because you made it through Rita in southwest Louisiana, understand this storm is going to be more powerful.
Earlier in the day, Laura upgraded to a catastrophic event, rapidly intensifying as it barreled towards Texas and Louisiana.
This isn't dangerous storm surge. And in some cases here, you look at some of these values, it's not survivable.
Thousands flocking to evacuation centers around the state.
This Hurricane Laura is going to be catastrophic for the areas that it hits hardest.
And near Houston,
we're expecting lots of traumas.
Hospitals now preparing for the worst. Overnight, warnings from officials getting more urgent. The hurricane growing and tornado watches activated across Louisiana's coast. Despite officials' evacuation orders, many insisting they're going to try to ride it out.
He has boats in the backyard. If we have to leave, we have another option.
Here in Baton Rouge, we're also seeing the effects of Hurricane Laura with tropical storm wind gusts as well as heavy rain. Now officials say that we could also see flooding and are asking people in the area to stay off the roads. In Baton Rouge, Elwin Lopez, ABC News.
Well, this morning, Indiana Task Force 1 is in the Gulf Coast, and they're ready to help people impacted by that hurricane. The team is in Louisiana right now, and we spoke with Jay Settergren, a safety officer with the group and battalion chief with IFD, about their mission.
This is a particular storm that I hope that people have paid attention to. And a lot of times you find, maybe 50% of the people evacuate. And that's really good. And I'm worried that with COVID, maybe we didn't get that. And this is a big storm. This is right up there with a couple of them that I've been here before on Katrina.
Well, the 25-person team is prepared to help with flooding and water evacuations. Most in the group are firefighters and collectively spend about 20,000 hours every year training. Depending on the damage, the task force could be there for as long as 1 to 2 weeks. And we are thanking them for their service, helping out the folks to the south. Todd, that was a strong storm that moved through that area. Going to start making its way north, but you say this is going to kind of dive south of us here in the Hoosier State, right?
Yeah, it's going to kind of make a right-hand turn and make its way through Kentucky, but don't really think of the impact in Louisiana as the impact that's going to be here. We're not going to have the winds, obviously, like they're going to have. Obviously, no storm surge here in central Indiana. We're just going to be dealing with some scattered showers and a few thunderstorms from this system, really, as it weakens over the course of the next day or so. But right now, it is still an extremely powerful storm. One of the way you can tell if a storm or a hurricane is very healthy is by the symmetrical shape of both the eye and the storm itself. And you can see, even though the storm has made landfall now, it still is very, very symmetrical. The one thing that is somewhat good with this storm, it's a fairly compact storm. So it's impacting a smaller area compared to some other hurricanes, which would have spread from Houston all the way to New Orleans. But nonetheless, that does not diminish the fact that it is deadly, most likely, and also very, very dangerous still. Closer to home, you can see the clouds starting to stream towards central Indiana. Temperatures this morning are sitting right now in the mid to upper 70s. So it's another warm and muggy start for us as we go throughout the day. We'll be partly to mostly cloudy here this morning, but as we get into the afternoon hours, storm chances return. More on those storm chances, Lauren, for you coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. As the number of new COVID-19 cases in Indiana remains high, Governor Eric Holcomb says the state will stay in stage 4.5 of reopening for another month. That means the current capacity limits at restaurants, bars, and public events will remain the same. The extension will last through September 25th. Holcomb also announced the state's face covering mandate will stay in place for another 30 days. So here's a look at the latest case numbers from the Indiana State Department of Health. 971 new cases were confirmed, bringing the state's total to 89,359 since the start of the pandemic. That's more than 100 cases higher than were reported on Tuesday. The numbers have continued to rise throughout the week. 18 new deaths have also been confirmed. 3,041 Hoosiers have died from the virus since this pandemic began. More than 1,022,000 people in the Hoosier State have been tested so far. So parents are voicing their concerns over the way Hamilton Southeastern Schools is handling this new school year. This was the scene Wednesday evening outside of the HSC school board meeting. Many people held signs calling for classes to be held in person. The district updated its back-to-school plan last Friday. Pre-K through 4th grade students will move to a hybrid model starting September 8th. 5th grade through 12th graders will remain 100% virtual. People outside the meeting explained why they disagree with that plan.
They think it's the safest thing for an isolated group. This disease woefully afflicts the elderly and the debilitated. Our children, this is not the safest thing. Staying home, we know, is a detriment. So they're looking at it through very narrow windows.
My health is my problem, and I need to be aware. And we both ask our family, if you are sick or if you've been with someone sick, all we ask you is to let us know, and then we'll take it from there. You know, I'll wear my mask, which I do. most of the time, and I'll get my hands cleaned up. And past that, this is a situation we each need to take care of ourselves.
Well, the board meeting was streamed online. It was open to a limited amount of people. Some parents and educators spoke during the public comments.
My kids desperately want to be back in the buildings, and they want things back to normal. Because my children are in grades 5 through 12, at this time, they will not be returning to the school buildings after Labor Day. I wanted to speak tonight on behalf of the multitude of district parents that say, that's okay.
The district says it will continue to evaluate that situation weekly. And then up at the University of Notre Dame, extra security has been added at its COVID-19 quarantine sites after students were caught leaving and violating safety protocols. The university provides those who test positive or have been in close contact with secured off-campus rooms or hotels during their isolation. Nearly 500 cases have been reported at Notre Dame, causing all classes to be moved online. The university says security will now monitor the rooms around the clock. The students who don't follow the rules will face sanctions or dismissal. The CDC says when the first coronavirus vaccine is developed, healthcare workers should be the first to get it. The Health Institute says there are currently between 17 to 20 million healthcare workers in the U.S. After that, the CDC says non-healthcare essential workers should be next, followed by adults with underlying medical conditions and those over the age of 65. A doctor at the CDC says that a vote might be made in the next month over who gets the initial doses. Republicans wrapped up day 3 of the RNC with words from Vice President Mike Pence last night. Coming up, his message to voters and when it comes to President Trump taking the stage tonight. And new information about what voting in Marion County is going to look like in November. A look at the polling places opening up for in-person voting and the need for volunteers. Todd.
And landfall has been made by Hurricane Laura down in Louisiana. The storm continues to move to the north, still at this hour as a Category 4 storm. This is a picture of the infrared satellite. The eye still well defined as the storm moves north. It'll start to impact our weather a little bit as we get towards your Friday and your Saturday. We'll talk about that and the rest of your Thursday forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 4:42 on our Thursday, and here's a live look at traffic on the southwest side of town. This is I-465, a view here near Kentucky Avenue and State Road 67, where traffic is moving along up to speed. Just keep in mind, we do have that ongoing road construction on the on-ramp from Kentucky Avenue to eastbound I-465. That is closed until next Wednesday until 9 p.m. So just plan ahead if you're heading through that area for your commute, and we'll continue to keep you updated.
So with gratitude for the confidence President Donald Trump has placed in me, the support of our Republican Party, and the grace of God, I humbly accept your nomination to run and serve as Vice President of the United States.
Vice President and former Indiana Governor Mike Pence taking the stage and accepting the nomination in day 3 of the Republican National Convention. As Republicans continue their pitch to the American people to re-elect President Trump, ABC's Inez de la Cotera is in Washington with the latest.
Overnight, Vice President Pence taking center stage at the RNC.
The choice in this election is whether America remains America.
Speaking from Fort McHenry in Baltimore, the vice president addressed a crowd that, for the most part, was not wearing face masks as he tried to put a positive spin on the president's COVID-19 response, even as the U.S. reports nearly 180,000 coronavirus deaths.
To bring America all the way back, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. What Joe doesn't seem to understand is that America is a nation of miracles.
Biden camp slamming Pence, writing in a statement he used debunked scare tactics and gaslighting to try and further divide the country. Other speakers on day 3 included former Notre Dame coach Lou Holtz, who went so far as to question Biden's Catholic faith.
The Biden-Harris ticket is the most radically pro-abortion campaign in history. They and other politicians are Catholics in name only.
And Kellyanne Conway, one of the president's longest-serving advisors, who is set to leave the White House at the end of the month, citing a need to focus on her family.
President Trump and Vice President Pence have lifted Americans, provided them with dignity, opportunity, and results.
This, as we're learning, at least one of the immigrants featured in a naturalization ceremony that aired on Tuesday night did not know the video would be used at the convention or that President Trump would even attend.
The president is set to close out the convention tonight with a speech he plans to deliver from the White House. But due to Hurricane Laura, sources tell ABC News the president and his advisors are considering adjusting RNC plans, though for now, nothing has changed. Inez de la Cuetera, ABC News, Washington.
Back here at home, the Marion County Election Board announced plans for increased polling locations for the November election. There will be 188 polling sites, including Bankers Life Fieldhouse and Lucas Oil Stadium. 6 will be open for early voting. You can find a searchable map of each location on our website, WRTV.com. State and city leaders are stressing the need for poll workers for the upcoming general election. A lot of the usual ones didn't work during the primary because of less voting centers and coronavirus concerns. Erin Kelly was one of them. Over 15 years, Erin tells WRTV she's worked in several elections. If you decide to vote in person, she hopes that you're patient with the poll workers who are doing this job under some very trying circumstances.
The poll workers, those are your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, people you go to church with. You know, these aren't professional election staff. They're everyday people. So grant them a little grace as well as they're trying to navigate this election, particularly during a pandemic.
Secretary of State Connie Lawson says that voting centers will be provided PPE for their workers and the voters. The Wisconsin Attorney General is releasing new information about the case of Jacob Blake, a black man who was shot by police while getting in his car. He reported that Blake told officers that he had a knife in his possession at the time he was shot in Kenosha. Officers found the knife in the floorboards of the car. The AG also said that officers tried to tase Blake before firing shots. Police arrived at the scene after a woman called complaining about her boyfriend who was not supposed to be on the premises. The officer who shot Blake was identified as Rustin Chesky, who's been with the department for the past 7 years. Blake remains hospitalized in Milwaukee, and according to his family, he's paralyzed from the waist down. Protests over the situation in Wisconsin has really reached professional sports. 6 NBA teams decided not to play postseason games yesterday, which led to teams in the MLB, MLS, and WNBA to refuse games as well. The Western and Southern Tennis Open was also put on hold for a day for the same reason. Let's talk about the weather right now with Todd Clausen. Todd, it is Thursday, another humid day here in central Indiana, but the big story is what's happening to our south.
Yeah, you know, the storm system, the new update will come in from the National Hurricane Center here at 5 o'clock. And most likely going to downgrade this storm just a little bit. But when I look at it here at the satellite picture that I showed you, this is still a very, very powerful storm with a well-defined eye as it makes its way up extreme western Louisiana and just crossed the interstate down there. I'll give you a little more traditional look. That's the infrared satellite, and the brighter reds, that's the higher cloud tops. But here's what it looks like on radar. And it's a very compact storm, and it continues to make its way again through Louisiana. And it's right now at 120 mile per hour sustained winds, which is a Category 3 storm. So that update just came in a little bit early because it was a Category 4 storm just a little while ago. It's going to be a Category 1 storm still as it makes its way into southern Arkansas. And then it makes a pretty hard right-hand turn, and the center of the storm will pass just south of Indiana, basically almost over Louisville. And that's going to be close enough to give us the clouds and some shower chances, but we'll probably miss out on a lot of the wind from this storm. And as we go over to the rain potential, the brighter colors, the oranges, the reds there that you see are the heavier rainfall totals, and you see it mainly stays in Kentucky with just extreme southern Indiana getting into the hefty rainfall totals. But it's kind of a 1-2 punch for us. We'll have the remnants of Laura to our south, but a cold front moving through at the same time. So we do have rain chances is in the forecast through Saturday. 74 right now in Indy, 75 in Bloomington. As we go throughout the course of the morning hours, the clouds are increasing, but we should remain dry here this morning. But once we get to the afternoon hours, there will be the chance of a few isolated storms starting to sneak in here. And you can see them developing as we work our way into the 1-2 o'clock time frame. And then they'll just be scattered about throughout the afternoon hours. And then Friday, most of the rainfall should stay to our south, but we'll deal with the clouds and that front making its way through the area. So today is definitely not a washout. There's probably more clouds than sunshine, but the clouds will break enough to get the temperatures up into the mid to upper 80s for us as we work our way into the evening hours. And then for the day tomorrow, we're looking at scattered storms off and on potentially throughout the day, and a temperature that once again will be up to right around 87 degrees. Saturday, some showers in the morning. The afternoon hours turn great once that front goes through. Lower humidity, cooler temperatures. Sunday is absolutely terrific with temperatures starting in the 50s, going up to near 80 with sunshine in the afternoon. And then it's cooler next week still with temperatures in the 80-degree range, but also scattered storms Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this Thursday morning. Here's a live look at I-465 and I-70, the interchange there on the east side. Traffic is moving along up to speed. No issues here to slow down your commute. At 4:50, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is now the first person ever to be worth $200 billion. Forbes magazine believes that Bezos' fortune is the largest ever accumulated. The Amazon founder has $90 billion, more than the second richest person. It's Bill Gates. And Bezos would be even richer if he hadn't gone through the most expensive divorce settlement last year. He gave his ex-wife 25% stock in Amazon, now worth $63 billion. Microsoft Word is launching a new feature to help you take notes. It's called Transcribe in Word, and it's included in the latest version of Microsoft 365. It allows users to upload a pre-recorded speech or record a live conversation in Microsoft Word. The feature then transcribes everything that was said, even detecting if the speaker changes. It's currently available only to subscribers of the web version of Word, but Microsoft says Word Mobile will have the feature by the end of the year. Firefighters continue to battle dozens of fires out in California this morning, and they're getting some much needed support. After the break, we'll introduce you to this adorable, furry first responder who's lifting spirits of heroes on the front lines. And coming up, city leaders are working to find ways to curb violent crime in Indianapolis. New at 5, the latest efforts from the mayor and police chief to hear from residents and look for solutions. It's 4:52. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 4:55, and here's a live look at traffic on the north side of town at I-465. A view near Ditch Road where everything's traveling up to speed. No crashes right now around the metro area to slow down your commute. So this morning, firefighters out in California continue to battle those deadly wildfires burning across the state, but they are getting some help from a furry friend. A 2-year-old comfort dog named Kareth helps to boost the morale at morning meetings by offering much needed affection. Kareth was originally bred to be a guide dog for the blind, but was a little too playful and energetic. So now she's fully certified as a comfort dog whose job it is to bring smiles and love to our hardworking heroes. That sounds like a dream job, and she's so cute. All right, Todd, let's talk about the forecast back here at home.
You know, it's going to be a little unsettled here the next couple of days as the remnants of Laura pass just to our south. As we go throughout the course of the next couple days, it helps if I put my microphone on, right? As we go throughout the course of the next couple days, Lauren, it's going to be a little unsettled as we deal with the remnants of Laura moving through to our south. We should clear that all out by Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. The sunshine comes back. Then as we get into Sunday, 79 degrees with much lower humidity. And then look at those low temperatures Sunday and Monday morning as temperatures will be in the 50s. We'll break this entire 7-day planning forecast down for you coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.